Have you ever wondered if global peace is just a dream or if there could actually be a unified theory for it? I'm not talking about temporary truces, but a real, stable, perpetual peace. Well, today we're going to explore a pretty fascinating framework that does just that. It connects philosophy, a whole new way of thinking, and even artificial intelligence into a single roadmap for global transformation. Let's dive right in. And it all starts here with this incredibly powerful warning from Albert Einstein. He knew that the same kind of thinking that creates our problems just can't be the thinking that solves them. This call for a substantially new manner of thinking, well, it's the bedrock for everything we're about to unpack. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with what's called the coherence challenge. Then we'll shift to a planetary perspective. After that, we'll get into thinking in whole systems, see how an AI for peace fits into all of this, and finally, we'll look at some actual blueprints for a new Earth. All right, let's kick things off with the core problem, the coherence challenge. This really gets to the heart of why our current systems seem to be breaking down all around us. You know, we live in a world that's more interconnected than ever before. I mean, think about it. Global supply chains, financial markets, the internet, it's all woven us into this one giant global system. But here's the catch. When one part of that system breaks, that instability spreads at planetary speed. A local problem can become a global crisis overnight. So, ironically, it feels like fragmentation, not connection, is really defining our time. So what's the answer to all this fragmentation? Well, the proposed solution is a principle called coherence. The best way to think about it is like a symphony orchestra. It's not just about having 100 different instruments playing at once, it's about them all being aligned, playing from the same sheet music, creating something beautiful and stable. Coherence is that alignment for our global society. And this leads us to a really fascinating paradox, a balancing act. If you have all this difference and diversity but no alignment, you get chaos, right? The system destabilizes. But on the other hand, if you force alignment without allowing for any difference, everything just stagnates. The real goal, the sweet spot, is finding a way to have coherence across our diversity. So how in the world do we achieve that kind of coherence? Well, it starts with a huge shift in how we see ourselves and our planet. This is the move to what's called a planetary perspective. This journey is all about moving away from an obsession with control and towards a state of coherence. See, it's not about trying to force everyone into unity, but about finally recognizing the unity that's already there. It's about dropping the illusion that we're all separate and truly understanding just how interdependent we all are. Now, when we talk about planetary citizenship, it's not about some new world passport or a global government. It's a conscious choice, a deep internal shift in your identity. It's about starting to see yourself as a part of this living, breathing planet, and then choosing to act in a way that actually serves the whole system. And this whole mindset is really built on a new set of operating principles. Things like celebrating unity in diversity, not just tolerating it, or truly acting as stewards of the earth. And this is a big one, choosing co-creation over competition. It's a fundamental move away from a survival of the fittest mentality to a much more cooperative way of being. Okay, so if planetary citizenship is the goal, how do we get there? I mean, how do we actually start thinking this way? This is where we get back to Einstein's call for a substantially new manner of thinking, and it's called thinking in whole systems. For centuries, we've relied on what's called disciplinary thinking. We break the world down into neat little boxes, economics over here, politics over there, ecology in another corner. And while that's been useful for some things, it's also, as the slide says, blind to the whole. It just can't grasp the interconnected nature of our biggest challenges, like climate change, because it only sees the isolated parts. The proposed alternative is something called spheral thinking. It's a holistic approach that sees society as a set of interconnected spheres. Things like the technology sphere, which is all our technology and infrastructure, the infosphere, our information networks, and the sociosphere, our cultures and social systems. The whole point is to understand the relationships between these spheres so we can finally see the whole picture. And when you put them side by side, the contrast is just huge. Disciplinary thinking, it's fragmented, it's partial, and it often leads to conflict because everyone is just protecting their own little branch. But spheral thinking, it's holistic, it's planetary, and it focuses on those big eternal spheres of society. And according to this theory, that is the only path to perpetual peace. This diagram really pulls it all together. You can see the evolution here. We start with the old way, disciplinary thinking. That evolves into this substantially new thinking, which is spheral and holistic. And that new way of thinking then gives rise to two incredibly powerful applications, a whole new science of peace and this revolutionary tool called spheral AI. Which brings us to what might be the most futuristic part of this whole roadmap, using technology not for war, not for profit, but specifically for creating peace. The mission is guided by this incredibly powerful idea of shifting the arms race into a peace race. Just imagine that for a second. Instead of competing to build more destructive weapons, what if we as a species competed to build more effective tools for understanding, for cooperation, and for peace? That is the entire vision behind spheral AI. So what exactly is spheral AI, or SAI? Well, it's not like the AI you hear about every day. This is an AI model that's been built from the ground up, based entirely on the principles of spheral thinking. Its one and only purpose is to model the incredibly complex interdependencies of our world, helping us see the real root causes of conflict and find pathways to lasting peace. Now, this model is designed to be superior for peacemaking for a few key reasons. It has a peacemaking orientation baked into its core. It uses a unique kind of data called spheral big data, which actually maps the harmony, or lack thereof, between all those social spheres we talked about. And crucially, it's designed to prevent conflict at the root, to spot the systemic stress points long before they explode into crises. Okay, so we've covered the philosophy, the new way of thinking, and the technology. But what does this all actually look like on the ground? Let's talk about turning these insights into action. The cool thing is, this isn't just a bunch of abstract theory. These ideas are part of what are called models for a new Earth. These are grounded blueprints for actually redesigning core parts of our civilization. Things like governance, the economy, science, education, all based on these principles of coherence and interdependence. It's about putting this new thinking into practice, for real. So here it is. This is the full picture. It's a completely integrated system where every part supports the others. The core philosophy is coherence. The personal mindset is planetary citizenship. The mental model to make sense of it all is spheral thinking. And the technology to bring it all to life is spheral AI. It's a unified roadmap from top to bottom. But ultimately, this entire framework isn't presented as some sort of a prediction of the future. It's really an invitation. It's a roadmap from insight to action. The ideas are on the table, the blueprints are there. So the final question it leaves us with is a really personal one. Will we, you, me, all of us, choose to participate in building this future?